right. Instagram Live, YouTube Live. Here we go. Thanks for being with me today. I want to share a couple of things with you today. By the way, if we haven't connected yet, my name is Conn, and I'd love for you to connect with me any of the ways that you see right here. My YouTube channel, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Today, I want to share something with you that is really important. I think it's a great idea, something that a lot of people need to hear more about, and it's about retention. It's an idea, and it's just about leading people in the locker room. And so, the way that you lead in the locker room, when we do that well, then of course retention rises. And so, that's one of the big ideas of this conversation here today. And what I do is we help lead people, manage processes, and measure and improve results. But a lot of times people say, "Hey, Mike, we need to manage our people better." Mike, be careful with that. Whenever we try to manage people, it's kind of like pushing a rope. Well, let me ask you this question: do you like to be managed? Let me ask you a different question: how do you like to be managed? Like most people don't really like it that much. If you're a bit like me, you'd rather be led than managed. So let me ask you this question: do you want people who are following you? Do you want them to follow you or obey? Again, if you're like me, sometimes the answer is both, right? It just kind of depends on the situation. But what I know is true is people will obey out of obligation. They'll obey out of compliance, but that doesn't mean that they're going to follow. So what we want to do today is we want to talk about how to lead people better. Now, the way that we do that is just by the culture that we have cultivated. You create something once, then you cultivate it again and again and again and again. Cultivate is just a farming term that means control what you can control. And so for us today, I want to control what we can control by choosing how we lead people who work with us. And what I want to do is put a little frame around it right here as we just jump into the conversation. Culture 101. Culture is the way we do what we do and the way we allow it to be done. But that's not how I hear it. I hear, this is how we do it. Like that's what culture is. It's different than what a mission statement and the core values and the vision and all of those things are. Those are outward facing documents, things that we tell people are really important to us. But culture is what we actually do and what we actually allow to be done. One of my favorite tools for this is the 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence. And this is by one of my mentors, Phil M. Jones. Cornerstone number 1, the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment when you're saying it. Cornerstone number 2, curiosity is fuel for great conversations. My personal favorite, cornerstone number 3, people do things for their reasons and not yours. So you should do things for your reasons and not theirs. And cornerstone number 4, the person asking the questions controls or guides the conversation. This is really important as you're learning to lead people, and I'm learning to lead people better. So the rest of our time in this video, I want to talk about 2 things. One is the 2% rule, and that's just a specific amount of time. And then the other thing is the 8 E's of leading people. The 2% rule is very simply 10 minutes. And it's not 10 minutes is not 2% of the entire day, but we're supposed to sleep for 8 hours. We don't. We typically sleep for less. We're supposed to work for 8 hours. We don't. We typically work more. And then the other third of the day is your discretionary time. What I'm suggesting is that you and I take 2% of our discretionary time and then leverage it for work, leverage it for something that matters. So whatever your goals are, if your goal is to lose some weight, then certainly with your discretionary time, maybe you can't lose 100 pounds in 1 week or 1 weekend or whatever, but you can take steps to make better choices. Like you can invest 10 minutes every single day, to borrow from James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits. Every action you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become. And whenever we do things at home, in our community, and at work that align with our goals, align with the person that we're wanting to become, then that will change everything. So I'm suggesting, I'm recommending that we invest 2% or 10 minutes per day, per person, thinking about who it is that I'm leading that are on my team, And then I want to see what we can come up with. These 8 E's of leading people. It's not tricky. We're just going to make a list right quick. Number 1 is expectations. Number 2 is experience. Number 3 is encourage. Number 4 is equip or train. Number 5 is execute. Number 6 is excellence. Number 7 is evaluate. And number 8 is experiment or try something new. Now, if you're like me, you've been in organizations where some of these were done well, but you know that they weren't all getting the same preparation by the leader who was in charge or the manager. And if you're not sure about that, just go watch any of the episodes of Michael Scott in The Office, right? Like, this is really important to set the table for what we're actually trying to achieve. But it's not just a checklist. It's not a list that you just go straight down the line. What happens whenever we make a list, we really do tend to turn it into a checklist. And after we do one thing, we just put a check by it and go a check by the next one, then the next one. What I'm positioning, what I'm suggesting is that we turn this into a wheel. I'm proposing we turn this into a wheel. And you're toggling back and forth constantly with the hub in the middle, which is encourage. So when you set the expectations and then you go right after the expectations to encourage, then you're also recognizing when people do something good. So expectations that are unset go unmet. I wrote about that in my first book, Communication Culture Volume 1. It's not tricky, but a lot of times in my live sessions, I'll ask the leaders, have you ever been held accountable to expectations that weren't clearly set? And people raise their hand all over the place. But then I lean in and ask a slightly different question. Have you ever had to be someone who had to hold someone else accountable to expectations that you're pretty sure were never clearly communicated in the first place? And the answer to that usually is yes as well. So we want to set the right expectations, and then we want to go with the experience that people have. Like, my experience is different than yours, and it's different than everyone else that you work with. But all of those experiences we've had have led us to this point today. As I'm recording this video, it's April the 16th, 2026. It's Q2 of 2026. And my experiences that I've had thus far shape the person that I'm going to be in Q3 and Q4 and so on. So that's why this is really important, not just to me as a business owner, but also to the people who are on my team. And it's not just the people that are on my team, but it's also the vendors that we contract with, and the people that we support, the people that we work with, that we cooperate with, that collaborate with to get our job done, to get whatever it is that you're doing in your organization, to be able to serve the people that you serve. So set expectations, then look at the experience, and then we're encouraging all the way throughout. Then we go to equipping. How many of you have ever been to a place on your first day and the OJT, the on-the-job training, was just very, very short? Hey, here's Mike. You're going to go do what he says, unless it violates anything in the handbook, and then don't do that. Do something different. A lot of times we don't set our team members up for success by equipping them very well. So that's a huge part of leading people. And then once they do a thing you've asked them to do, again, toggling back and forth to the encouragement. Whenever they learn something new, or whenever they do something that's, even if it's not 100%, you want to reward the effort. What gets rewarded gets repeated. If I only give attention to the things that don't meet my expectations, then I'm going to see a lot more of that. And that's also one of the ways that people inadvertently, sometimes on purpose, they're going to get the attention of the leader one way or the other. Is that true universally? No, it's not true universally. ... However, since the focus of this conversation, this video, is about retention, we don't hire people so we can fire them. We don't bring people onto the team so we can push them off the boat as soon as we get a chance. That's not how that works. And sometimes our inattention to detail leaves some things in our blind spots and we don't see them. And instead of focusing on the good that people are doing and recognizing and rewarding that behavior, we focus on what's wrong or what's broken, and then we see a lot more of that. It's just people. Become a leader that people want to follow. Become a place that people strive to stay at. They strive to work in the same place. And I'm not talking about getting Rolex watches or about getting pensions. Some of those places are gone. Some of those still happen. What I'm saying to you and to me is we want to cultivate the culture. Remember, culture is the way we do what we do and the way we allow it to be done. This is how we do it. And we want to be people who lead people, and those people want to continue to work with us. They want to continue to follow. That doesn't mean we're perfect. That just means we're continuing to move in the right direction. It's very difficult to execute on a game plan that hasn't been clearly laid out. My favorite basketball team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they do an exceptional job of executing on the game plans that coach puts out in front of them, no matter if they're up 30 or down 30, whatever the situation may be. And one of the reasons why, and it's no surprise that they're the number one seed, it's no coincidence, I should say, that they're the number one seed in the playoffs for the third season in a row. They don't just try to win games and win championships, they try to win possessions. They try to make the right read every time, the right move every time, the right basketball play every time. The expectations are clear, and then they have the tools to be able to execute with them. And then the next E is you want to execute with excellence. That's not tricky. One of the enemies of excellence is perfection. Again, which is why when you see someone doing good, it's important that we call that out. It's not tricky, but sometimes it stays in our blind spot. When I wrote this book, it's 46 Communication Culture Volume 1, a playbook to end division at work and turn team members into teammates. And it's 132 pages with 46 bite-sized chapters, 40 blind spot alerts, because we've all stepped in something that we didn't see coming. And it's written on a 6th grade reading level because I want it to sit on the corner of the desk of every organizational leader. This matters. And the more we take these tools to lead people, manage processes, and measure and improve production and results, then we continue to cultivate the culture that we want to thrive in. When we're looking at the excellence is really important. Of course, we're toggling back and forth to encouragement, right? To find ways to encourage people for doing good. And then we want to evaluate. A lot of times the evaluation, as I've already said, the evaluation sometimes turns into ways where we tell the people on our team how they didn't meet our preferences. Feedback is a 4-letter word. It's something that gets a lot of mixed reviews in different organizations in the way they do it. My definition for feedback, or my idea for feedback, is if your feedback's not designed to build up and encourage, then it's not feedback, it's target practice. Or at least that's how it feels to the person on the receiving end of it. So what we want to do is we want to lean in, and we want our evaluation, we want to communicate the good that we see people are doing. Not just say, well, hey, nice job, but here's something else I need you to work on. There was one time I was getting a performance review, and it was 3 hours and 45 minutes. It wasn't your average review. It was more of a 360-degree meeting, that sort of a thing. And the opening, like there were 4 points they talked about. 3 of them were good, 1 was bad. And we were done with the first 3. 3 were really good, and then 1 area we'd like to see you do better in. That lasted over 3 hours. Which one do you think I remembered? Which one would you remember? It's not tricky. What gets rewarded gets repeated. And when we turn the evaluation process, when we turn the feedback process, instead of just giving an improved list, a do better list, when we say, hey, this is what you're doing well, and then we tie that to the outcomes, not only for the individual team members, but for the organization as a whole, then again, we're reinforcing the behavior of who we want our team members to become. So set expectations, then encourage. Experience and encourage. Equip and encourage. Execute and encourage. With excellence, continue to define what that looks like, and then encourage. Evaluate, and then encourage. I think I missed one there. And then experiment is number 8. Now, whenever we're talking about experimenting, a lot of time, like what I mean by experimenting, instead of saying, hey, we're going to change something, or hey, we're going to try something new, if we say, well, we're going to experiment with something for the next 90 days and see if it helps us get this better. Whenever you run an experiment, it's a controlled environment. At least some portion of it is controlled. Whenever we're trying something new, it might feel like we're just trying to throw some spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't lean in and say, hey, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. In fact, I am saying we know we can control these couple of things, or these 8 things, or whatever the situation is, but we're reframing the opportunity as an experiment. And whenever we know there's an experiment that we're going to run, then we know we can do anything. Like I said earlier, we can do anything for 10 minutes. So this brings me back to, how do we implement this? How do we work the 8 E's of leading people? And how does that matter with the 2% rule? My suggestion is you take the number of people, the people who are on your team, the people who are direct reports to you, and then you write their names down on a sticky note, you put them in your phone, however you keep them front of mind. And then you invest 2%, 600 seconds, 10 minutes. As your day gets started, or maybe come in before your shift begins, and think about one person per day and these 8 things on the wheel. Okay, how can I, Mike's coming into work today, how can I set his expectations, not just for his job, but for his job today? And then the experience, the encouragement, all of those things. What would it be like at the end of the day for Mike to say that we had a successful day? Like what would need to be true in these 8 areas? And then I don't mean all day. I mean, you set your timer for 10 minutes and you write it down, your journal, you set an email, however it is that you do it, but clearly communicate. Hey, man, I'm excited that you're here today. We got a lot going on today, and I know that you're going to be able to handle it. So this is where we're going. I need this, boom, boom, boom. Setting expectations. Here's what that standard looks like. Here's the excellence it looks like. You've been equipped, all of these different things. And then, especially in the area of experience, I know you're going to be able to do this well because I've seen you do this before. That's all of these things are very, very helpful whenever you're leading people. The goal is not to manage people. Lead people, manage processes. What's true is all leaders manage, but not all managers lead. You can't have one without the other. If you're just leading people, then you might be soft on some of the procedures or some of the processes. And I say soft, I mean, it might not be as important to you, right? But if you could become known as a pushover in the organization. So I'm not suggesting that you don't manage things, but leaders by nature manage things all the time. So I'm saying turn up the dial on the people aspect of your leadership. And these 8 E's are something that's been very, very helpful for me. I believe it can be helpful for you as well. If you haven't subscribed, if you haven't followed, I would love for you to do that. I would love for you to share. If there's anything that was helpful to you today in this video, just leave it in the comments below. I would send me an email. You can send me a text message at the number on the screen. I would love to hang out with you. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to know what value you got out of this live video today. I'll see you in the next one.